Thank you for joining me on another Novel Escape. My name is Trevon Grant, and this is going to be a book review on Poppy Wars by Kuang. Alright guys, so I have mixed feelings about this book because I read the first book, right? And the second book. And my feelings have changed from first book to second book. So knowing the second book, I don't know, it's kind of influencing the first one. But anyways, let's just talk about Poppy Wars for 1 second. So we have our main character Rin. The story mainly follows her. Later on it kind of expands, but she is like the #1 main character. It follows Rin, and the story starts out with her being an orphan in the Rooster Village, which is sort of like the underbelly village, right? Everyone who comes from the Rooster Village is sort of just, they're not very wealthy or anything like that. They're not of high class. They're just people who raise certain livestock and they sell them and so on. So they're not considered to be of any big reputation or anything like that. So she's in the Rooster Village now. She's also an orphan, and her aunt is looking to sell her off, or not sell her off, but marry her off. And Rin hates the idea of getting married. So then she now decides she's gonna take this exam called the Koju. Alright, so she takes the Koju and she kills it, becomes the best in her village, and it goes off to this military school all the way I think it's in the capital. Alright, now she joins this school, and everybody in the school has been preparing to go to the school for a long time. So they have all this background knowledge on all the subjects being taught, and she's brand spanking new to this thing. So she's already at a huge disadvantage. Right, and so the story progresses from there. Now, as it goes along, and she's struggling to get through school, and first she was struggling to get through school, struggling to kind of make friends, because she has this kind of attitude problem or whatever. You know what I mean? And then she starts to make these kind of crazy decisions. What I thought are crazy, like absolutely off the wall decisions, in order so that she doesn't get kicked out of the school and go back home, because she has nowhere, literally in her mind, she has nowhere to go back to. Her aunt used to sell drugs, her aunt used to sell drugs, and so she doesn't want to go back to that lifestyle, even though it's something that she knows and she's used to. She doesn't want to go back to her aunt. She doesn't want to go back to some kind of marriage and live a boring life. She wants to be a commander in the army. It's a very cool story. I like how our main character is making some horrible decisions, in my opinion. Some horrible decisions. Now. And so like you get to the end of the story and you're wondering, is this the hero or is this like an anti-hero? Like her morality is at such a weird place in this book that it causes me to seriously wonder, right? Like, what kind of person is this? And is this really the hero that's gonna save things, right? So I think that's what makes it super interesting. Is just her life choices, what she decides to do. So from this point in the video on, right, I'm gonna give you my star rating here. I'll give this book a 4 out of 5 stars, because I thought the plotting was very good. I thought that the storyline was very good. And again, I have the same, you guys are tired of hearing me say this, I have the same problem with this book as I do with other books, with the villain not being like, I don't feel the effects of the villain. And I think too, because one of the reasons why I don't feel the effects of this villain is because a lot of authors nowadays don't reveal who the main villain is until like more than halfway through the book, and then you finally find out who this villain is, and who this main troublemaker is going to be. It doesn't build up any anticipation. It doesn't build up anything. So therefore, that's my main issue with this book. And again, very good. I enjoyed it. It has a lot of cursing in it, so it's definitely not for young adults. Just a warning that this part has some spoilers. So if you don't want to get spoilers on this book, then definitely don't listen to this part. Again, last warning, you don't want to proceed any further with this video if you don't want to spoil this book. But it is a 4 out of 5 stars. It definitely is worth a read. Alright, here we go. Spoiler. So, part of the way through Rin's time in school, she decides to get a procedure done that would effectively kill her ovaries. When I got to that point in the story, it shocked me. I was like, what? Now, so I'm kind of going back now in the story, and I'm thinking, what in the beginning of the story kind of foreshadows this? Why would she make such a heavy step? The way the story is structured is that she starts to get periods, right? She starts to get periods, which her periods are heavy, and the cramping is heavy, and it literally throws her off her game, and she's unable to study, unable to do anything for this period of time, a month. Now she is motivated to stay in school and to not go back home, and so she's like, look, I cannot be out of my studies, I cannot be out of school, I can't be locked down because of this stupid period. Like, this is absolutely crazy. So she makes the craziest decision to remove her ovaries because of the fact she doesn't want to go back home. Now this is a ballsy move from this author to put something like this in a book. Like, I've been reading countless books, right? And I mean, and this was definitely one of those shockers that's like, man. So I don't know what the motivation, if the motivation really was enough, because it would seem, I can see it happening, right? Because if it's totally unlikely that somebody would make such a decision, then okay. And especially someone who is as smart, who is as well studied as Rin, who is as motivated as she is. Do I see her really making that decision? And it sort of threw me off a little bit. And it was like, but not for long. It didn't throw me off for very long. And I realized then throughout the rest of the story that she's willing to make some risky decisions, some life-changing, unalterable decisions. In her school, you know, they are doing these strategic exercises, right? Military strategy exercises. And so all her classmates come up with these ways, kind of safe ways of doing a military strategy. And she's the one that cuts through all the bull and says, look, if we kill off about 5,000 people, we'll be able to save the rest of the nation. And which is a decision nobody else was willing to make. You read through the story, and the author's putting these things in line, showing you what kind of character she is, right? And kind of setting you up for the eventual time that she decides to become possessed, I guess. Yeah, to become possessed by her god, her Phoenix power god. And even though people are telling her, like, look, this possession is risky because you can easily lose control, and still yet she's willing to make that decision. She still in the end goes along with it, right? And then in the end she kills off an entire country, almost an entire country. She causes a volcano to erupt in that country and kill off almost all the inhabitants of that country, except for the soldiers, for a lot of the soldiers that are already occupying their land. And that's why when I got to the end of the story, I was confused. You know, I was like, am I supposed to like this character? Like, I mean, like, the story tells you who she is, right? Like, she's willing to do this, she's willing to do that, she's willing to take all these risky decisions, but still yet, oh, this sun is coming in high on me. Okay, so the story tells you that she's willing to make these crazy risky decisions, but I feel like the why behind it, the why she was willing to make these decisions doesn't come through. So therefore, I'm thinking the only reason I can place as to why she's making these decisions is because she's just naive and she doesn't know any better. Whether that should be true or not, I don't know. And so that was my main problem with this book. And that's why I gave it a 4 out of 5. I'll probably even drop it a little lower, but I don't want to let the second book influence me, because honestly, I didn't think very highly of the second book. But that review is coming up soon. So thank you so much for watching me again on another Novel Escape. My name is Trevon Grant, and stay home in quarantine. Peace.